you're listening to Julie Taylor, and this is Julie and Company.
And today my guest is Francis Laramie, who is the Executive Director at the Brome-Missisquoi Perkins Foundation. Good day.
Hi, Julie.
I'm so happy you're here.
I'm happy to be here as well. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you, because we had a brief conversation prior to meeting, and your knowledge and your sensitivity to everything that Brome-Missisquoi Hospital represents in our community was absolutely enriching, and I'm excited to share it with our audience today. So tell me briefly, you are from the region.
Yes, I was born and raised in Saint-Alphonse-de-Granby, so just next door, basically. When it was time for me to move, I moved to Countsville, and I've never been out since.
And your career path?
Before I was working with the foundation, I used to work in tourism and hotel businesses. Mm-hmm. I was mainly involved with organizing events such as weddings, congress, conventions. There came a time that I started to notice we do help people out with their events and their one big day, but it's a fleeting feeling. Like it doesn't really last in time. Like it doesn't create an impact.
Did you feel you wanted to realign what you did with something that was maybe more nourishing inside?
Yes, that was where I was at the time. And I didn't have big aspirations to go to Montreal and big cities. I'm a community guy. Like, I want to have peace and quiet here.
Right.
And so I said, well, I did pretty much what I could with the hotels in the area. So I said, well, I might as well turn my eye to something else, and at the same time take an opportunity that will fulfill me inside as well. So there was an ad at the foundation for an executive assistant.
Yeah.
And I applied, and so here we are 8 years later.
And from what I understood, you were at the receiving end of the wonderful services of the hospital because your father needed care.
Yes, my dad actually started getting ill exactly at that time. He's unfortunately had a lot of the 7 years that followed and other conditions. Unfortunately, he passed away last summer. However, all throughout the time, we've had to come to BMP quite often. So it was sort of, this is what I'm working for, so that people such as my dad get the good health care that they need when they need it, and as fast as possible.
And you could see, I imagine, where all the efforts were going. It must have fueled your desire to reflect the spirit of the community and of the hospital. Having experienced it from that point of view, I guess your role became clearer at the top?
Definitely. It's something that was confirming, that was on my X, so to speak. So to me, that today that I'm able to get in touch with the community, and also, I feel that we are showered at the foundation by this community spirit. People love their hospital and they don't want to go away. They want to contribute to it. They want it to get better.
It's a community spirit for sure, but it almost feels like a family. I've had the opportunity to use its services myself, my father as well, and different occasions. Once I walked into an appointment, I was running a little late, and the lady who was taking my card, and checking me in, knew I had my dog in the car, and she's like, "Do you want me to go and let him out and come back?" I mean, I thought
that's
a neighbor
wonderful.
would say that. And she saw that I was stuck between. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I declined. She was too nice. I took care of it myself. That said, what an incredible place. It doesn't feel like a hospital when you go there. It feels like family greeting you.
It feels like family, and it also has an incredible story behind it. Because at the time, I'm no historian, so dates aren't my thing, but back at the time, there wasn't a hospital in Countsville, which was Sweetsburg at that time, and the community felt that they needed to have healthcare close to home. So at the site where the hospital is today, there was an old hotel, which people said, well, let's convert this and make this one of our first healthcare center. So they mobilized, they fundraised, they created campaigns to make it happen. Ever since, that's always been the spirit around the hospital, around making it grow and making it last as well. Like the foundation's logo for many years used to be a tree tree, an apple tree. And there was always been a link to how rooted the hospital
Well,
is.
that's what I was about to say, because a tree can't grow without strong roots. And then the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, as they say. So I guess it's a cycle of life. I just wanted to say this initiative of the community to create a hospital seems particular to the region where there's a lot of volunteering, there's a lot of grassroots organizations. There are a lot of people who step in and make these communities, and I say these communities because the territory is so vast, but to make this general area proactive and a place where people care about nature, care about their lifestyle, and are ready to defend it.
Yeah, and to defend it is that at some point the government actually was under consideration of closing the emergency ward, and the community stood up and said no, and they made a human chain around the hospital to say publicly, no,
protest,
we want to keep this open. It was a good thing, because today we have a lot of tourism here, a lot of bikers, hikers, skiers, and other sports related injuries that happen.
Water sports, perhaps.
Water sports as well. Now we're very fortunate to be able to have a big healthcare center for the community, very close to all these mountains and other spots. So
And the emergency room would be, if that got closed, I guess all the connecting services would also domino effect down. They would go.
Absolutely.
And then you'd be left with, go have a blood test here.
Yeah, blood test or a follow-up or anything, but that's not the spirit of the community, and that's not what our foundation wants. Like, we want to really have healthcare, and it's a privilege that people stood throughout the years to this motto, to this idea, to this spirit, because now today more than ever, now people are dependent on our hospital. It happens sometimes that we help out Granby with some overflow in some practices. So today we own our place in the healthcare system.
You own it, so it wasn't a handout, clearly. What about the more recent event where I think at the CLSC some of the blood work was no longer going to be open, and here in Knowlton, and it was going to be transferred to another hospital further away? I think, again, residents signed a petition. Tell me about it.
Yes, they did, and we're fortunate that people still have that spirit in them, because we've mentioned it before, like, our territory is vast, and having these little points of services throughout the territory binds into the spirits to having good care close to home. So it's a richness, and without these satellite locations, people would have to drive all the way to the hospital, but we are taking care of people as far as Stanbridge East, Mansonville, and other locations, and unfortunately some people cannot drive this far.
And you're talking about probably vulnerable people at an age where they may not even still have their driver's license, so the whole logistics, we don't have any official community networks of transportation.
Definitely.
Relying on, again, neighbors helping neighbors.
Correct, because it's not everybody, like in my story with my dad, like he was fortunate that I was able to be by his side and help him, but that's not the case for everybody. Some people are just alone and they're in a vulnerable moment, and sometimes you just need help.
So the hospital, the spirit of the hospital, it being an empathic, kind, warm place to be welcomed when you have to step into it, also has a network of people who donate their time. And also, you were telling me there's a network of doctors and nurses that actually travel to the patients on our territory?
That's right. And it stems from a small building next to the hospital. Those are the home care services for La Pommeraye. So there are some doctors and nurses and practitioners that go directly to the homes of people in order to do follow-ups, or even sometimes may do job work or a few little exams, which exempts them from driving all the way to the hospital. And it's a byproduct that if we're able to do these things at home, it allows us to do more at the hospital at the same time. So we're gaining time. And especially on such a vast territory, I think that's something that totally has its place in our healthcare structure here.
Yeah. And speaking of donations, people give time, people give money.
Yep.
And you're in charge of raising funds.
Yes, and I'm glad that you bring up volunteers. I like to call, because actually volunteers are people who decide to donate their time. So often I like to call them like time donors. And I find that they have just as an importance in our community as someone who donates money or other items to the hospital foundations.
So if somebody wanted to donate their time, would they contact a hospital? How does it work? And what kind of ways in which, say myself, for example, could become a volunteer?
By calling the foundation's office, we'll be able to provide people with what are the volunteering opportunities available. Mainly throughout our events, we are also looking for volunteers on occasions for the small auxiliary boutique, which is now part of the foundation since a few years. So we need people who will be able to operate the cash register for half a day. And it's flexible schedule, and there's a nice team of volunteers there that are very hard at work.
So we mentioned a team around the hospital and this very warm feeling, but excellent medical care as well.
We're very fortunate to have lots of specialists at the hospital, especially in the orthopedics department. We now have over 5 or 6 orthopedics, a surgeon that help and cater to our population, which is getting older. So they have lots of needs to replace knees, elbows, and other pieces of the body.
I'm next. But having said that, when you came to the foundation, you were helping out in the administrative, and then the opportunity came to apply to the executive director. And you were telling me when we talked that COVID hit. And it gave you the opportunity to have perspective and to realign with your own personality and your vision.
Absolutely, because when you take over a position from someone, you're anxious to change things, and you don't necessarily want to change the whole shoe right away, but you still have to fit in those shoes. So yes, it brought along a lot of challenges to have COVID at that time, but it also brought in a lot of opportunities for me to see and make changes quickly and to be able to make upgrades. But it was also a good time for reflection at that time. We weren't in the huge speedy day-to-day that we know, and it was a really good time to reflect and find ideas and see, hey, how do we see the foundation when things go back to normal?
And how do you see the foundation?
The foundation I find is an embodiment of the will of the community to be tied together, to work together, all in all for a wonderful quality of healthcare in the area. So yes, we are a non-profit, but I feel it's a little bit stronger than that. Like, people trust us to be able to make the improvements and
to channel the money in the right place.
Correct. And people want to see the upgrades as soon as we're able to apply them, like where they're not looking to make a donation and see this only 10 years down the road.
So along these lines, you have a big say in where the funds go and how you apply them to the hospital list of to-dos, or to fund, or to change, or to upgrade. Does that rest on you and your small team?
Well, we are close to the administrative side of the hospital in order to identify the needs. There's no need to say that the needs easily come. There's always something that needs to be upgraded or replaced, especially with the situation with the funding that is always limited.
So there's always pressure on the foundation to raise more money or to find more solutions to what the administrative group says.
Absolutely. So we are in an open discussion to see what's the priority, and also with the head of the departments. I often talked with people who are on the different floors, and they share their needs, their challenges, and sometimes it doesn't need to be a very fancy piece of equipment. Sometimes it's just as easy as there's this chariot that the wheel keeps coming off.
And the frustration on top of frustration, if you could fix that.
That's right. And that's not a very big investment, but it will change a lot in the day-to-day of the employees. If you're not frustrated with your chariot that falls apart.
Yeah, I love hearing what we're talking about. So what kind of back and forth, what kind of contact do you have with the foundation, with the administration on a day-to-day, the teams? What does the day in the life look like?
It is all over the place.
So you're quick on your feet.
Yes, I have to look after my team to make sure that they got all that they need to perform. There's donors coming in, phoning in. We also have obviously meetings with doctors or head of the departments.
On a daily basis?
On a daily basis.
That's in your calendar?
Yes, it goes pretty much all over the place on the same day. And we've become the foundation. I like to do the parallel like in a shopping center, there's this little hub at the center that you lost something.
Kiosk.
The kiosk. You don't know where to go, so you go there. We are that in the BMP. Like employees and other people, sometimes they...
Because that's the sense that I was getting. You're essentially a communications hub.
Yes.
I get the sense that you make all of these moving parts cohesive somehow. Obviously, you hold some money, some budgets, and you channel it. You also need to create it and create events around it. So you bring awareness, there's flow, but it's in the details.
Yes.
So you have to have heart, conscience, and integrity to do this right.
Yeah. And like I always say, whenever we make a decision, whenever we make a choice, we need to stand by these decisions and choices. We need to be able to say, well, at that time, that was the best that we could have decided to do, and regardless.
But this is not a leader in an ivory tower who's just reading things. You make a direct contact with the people who are experimenting it to the extent that it's almost like it's validated. Yeah. It's always real. It's in real time.
Yeah. No, anybody who likes to sit in their office all day and not talk to anybody will not thrive in that position. So whenever our offices are straight in the entrance hall of the hospital. So whenever I walk out of my office, I always end up bumping into someone I know, and then sometimes stems that little conversation. I wanted to go and see you and talk to you about, there's something in the department that's not working, and I was wondering if perhaps the foundation could help in any way. And so sometimes it happens as informally as that.
And because there are checks and balances in most, I was going to say operations, but government structures, let's say, functioning or ill functioning, in your case, who do you answer to and how does it have to work? Because you alone probably don't hand out a check.
No, definitely. And some people tend to have the first idea that operating a nonprofit is an easy and simple thing, that, well, they just get in checks and they write receipts. It goes way beyond that. We are annually audited. We have the privilege to be able to give tax receipts to people who donate, but that comes with a lot of responsibility to the RRC, the Revenue Canada agency that bestows that power. And we need to be accountable in every single way and to make sure that it's all flowing. And more basically than that, people are making a gift to the foundation. They expect us to put it towards our mission and not to waste that money and make the best administrative decisions that we...
But you're also always in talks with the administration of the hospital so that you know where some of the bigger amounts are going to flow to.
Yeah.
Do you answer to them?
It's more
or do
like
they answer to you?
It depends on what topic we are on, but it's a collaboration between the two. But obviously there is no situation where the foundation doesn't have a say before dispersing.
Okay.
And we strongly stand next to our mission to purchase equipment to better the hospital. So there are some projects that sometimes are offered to us that we feel that is not embodying our vibe and our mission.
Hi, would you like to be on the show? Do you have any questions or ideas you'd like to share? Go to julietaylor.ca and leave me a message. Clearly, your bilingualism would come in handy in the job that you do. And you said earlier you walk out of your office and you meet people you know that have to tell you something. So that could be personnel, that could be clients. I don't like saying clients, but what's the other word?
Donors.
Yes.
Or contributors.
Or people who need those services at the hospital are called?
Yeah.
Customers. Patience! And she wins a star!
And in French, we call them usagers, which isn't pretty either.
I know, I was like... So you really talk to every segment of the community around the hospital, and you speak to them in both languages.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes I will tell my team, I'm just stepping out, getting something at the boutique, and then I come back an hour and a quarter after, and they say, we thought you were lost.
Yeah, I've solved 7 problems, so now we can go and have lunch, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much it. it. But no, we're really fortunate, and we feel that in every way.
It takes a personality that's jovial and focused and solid in their missions, but also very jovial and able to roll with the punches, because it can't always be glamorous.
No, absolutely not. We do have our lots of challenges, and especially lately, there's a lot of regulations that have come into place, and that
Give me an example.
Bill 25 with the confidentiality of personal information. This is something that we were already doing good at doing to preserve the security, and that we're very adamant about. But it adds some administrative oops to jump to, and we're only a team of 4 people there at the foundation. So every single time that we add hoops, well, it dilutes a little bit of time in our day, and we're very focused on applying our mission, and like we do have to do these administrative things, but we'd rather be working on projects.
Right. So when it comes, from what I understand, you've had a phenomenal year.
Last year was absolutely fantastic because our foundation usually annually raises around $1 million a year. And for the last financial year, we've raised over $3 million last year, which was an extraordinary
feat.
Yes, and it's a feat because people trust us and believe in our mission, and I take it in a way that, well, we must be doing something right.
Right. How do you raise funds? What are the main ways that people can contribute to the foundation?
The first obvious way are events, which helps us also to raise awareness about the needs of the hospital. And
which one are those? Which events?
We organize in spring the brunch, and the summertime we have a golf tournament, and also during fall we have the October party that is coming up.
The Oktoberfest party.
Yes.
So tell me about that. It's coming up soon. So if I wanted to go, what can I expect at that event?
We are turning around this year. It was a German team for quite a few years, and now we are heading towards a Western edition.
Oh.
So a nice change of pace in the music. We'll have Philippe Bergala and his musicians on the scene. We will have a nice Tex-Mex dinner served. There will also be microbreweries on site for people to have a nice drink and know a little bit more about the local artisans. And there will also be a line dance tutorial.
That's fun. So what a nice way to pivot, because when I think of October, I think of harvesting. I think of the agricultural land around us. Obviously, it's a bit of a horse country for most of Quebec here, and Western comes to mind. Lovely. So even a tutorial of line dancing. If I wanted to get, I don't know, is it like tables of 2, 8 long tables? If I wanted to get a group together, how many would I consider in my posse?
We'll be able to cater to groups of 8 and 10. People who are in a couple or just half a table can register, absolutely, and we'll make sure to match them with beautiful people. And so we arrange the tables. It's a very nice party, and people really enjoy having a little lay low before the winter comes. So we always have a good time during this event.
So the tickets you sell are for the event. It's inside or outside?
It's inside Érablière de l'Artisan. They have a nice chapiteau, so it's closed and there's lots of natural light flowing in, so it gives a really nice vibe.
Oh, lovely. And the tickets include a sit-down dinner.
Correct.
And then you have the breweries around that you can pick and choose what you'd like to supplement your hydration with.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Where would I get those tickets?
You can get them online on our website, and you can also call the BMP Foundation as well to get some information, or if you feel like talking to someone instead of doing it in front of the computer.
Right. If you do these 3 events that are a lot of the funds you raise, what are other ways that citizens can contribute to the foundation?
Some of the ways that gain to be known as plan giving. Sometimes there could be some incentive, people considering a donation there in their will. Donation of shares also can hold for some people an interesting option. And it can also go as far as insurances product. Sometimes when we're young, we subscribe to such an insurance and we get to a time where we might not require that anymore.
Yeah.
And there could be some advantages to donating that policy instead of just ending it.
And if I walk out of the hospital and I loved my experience and I feel overwhelmed with empathy and love and passion, I can call you and do a donation personally?
Absolutely. We'll be glad to assist people who call. People can also come at the foundation, make an appointment prior, and we'll be delighted to talk to them, especially if people want to direct the donation to a specific department. That's something that can be done, and that will take the time to talk it out.
What's the website where we can find you?
People can go to www.fondationbmp.ca.
Okay, Fondation in French, bmp.ca.
Correct.
Francis, thank you so much for coming on the show and telling us about the experience around the community that you serve.
Thank you so much for the invite, Julie. It's always a pleasure talking about our mission and sharing things, so I appreciate that.
And happy line dancing.
Yeah, we shall enjoy. See you there.
I hope so. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
This catchy, positive, upbeat pop song by Fred Bound at Free Music Archive is licensed CC BY.